If you're setting up an AI data center in your home, you have to have a solid foundation before you start doing things like installing JBODs, because if you don't, you're going to have quite a few problems. We're going to make sure we have all of that handled today. Before we can install, level, and wire up our racks, we need to make sure that everything's on the level. And this is rack down for a reason. So we definitely have to have our levelers working and functional before we stack these racks. And I've got a foot that I've got to fix. So if you have one of your feet that is stuck in place and you can't get it to come down from the Phillips head screw on the top, you can flip your rack and use one of the Torx wrenches and break it free. Definitely make sure you check this before you ever buy a used rack though. All right, let's go ahead and get this raised back up. And I definitely think you should not do that alone. And if you notice, this right here probably helped me out quite a bit. Those blocks definitely saved me from having this roll off as I picked it up. Woo! That was heavy. Okay, now I'm gonna get my mat moved out of the way. A good idea is to have anti-fatigue mats in front of and behind, especially in front of. If you drop, say, a hard drive and it hits this dense rubber kind of material, it might be okay. I've actually had that happen. You can usually find those at like local hardware stores, maybe a Tractor Supply or something like that. All right. As the garage has a slight slope down, you're going to need to block up more on the furthest edge towards your garage doors, and then less as you get further this way. This is why plate steel is a great option if you're looking for something to support underneath it, but definitely you need to be able to support probably 2,000, I'm gonna guess, pounds worth of weight in this specific area. Your garage floor is actually well suited for this, but if you are thinking of putting this, say, crazily upstairs, you would definitely want to be careful with making sure that you have enough support underneath it. So the racks that we're going to be putting in here are an APC Netshelter 3150 and an APC Netshelter 3350. The 3350 is excellent for accommodating really deep servers, which I've got a couple that are pretty deep. The tape library itself is very, very deep. The DE6600's very deep. And I've got the plate steel that I cut here in 6-inch by 3-inch patterns, and I'm gonna need to raise this on the back side here to become level with the front side up there. Again, like I said, slopes downwards like this. So taking that into account, I'm going to show you how you can determine how much slope you have in your garage, or you could use a tube with water and just do a traditional plumbing with that. You can kind of like gauge the level of the water between the two pieces of a piece of like clear tubing if you've got that also. But I'm going to use the laser level. It's very easy to see, and it also makes it really quick for me to move it around and make sure everything is super square every time. So with your laser level kind of centered in between the two racks, but also making sure that you can shoot all the way to the back corner and the front corner. And this is 41.5 inches. I'm gonna grab a measurement from the back. And this is 42 1/4. So we got 3/4 of an inch to make up, which isn't that bad. And I've got enough plate steel, but you wanna make sure that you account for that. So definitely, if you're going to a metal yard and buying some scrap seconds, try to find 1/2 inch plate. And if you have a angle grinder, like a 4.5 inch grinder, you can cut through it. Just make sure you have a good metal cutoff wheel. And of course, wear eye protection. So in checking our alignment on the center, we are right down the middle and completely plumbed up here, which is great. And you can see the shims down here at the bottom that I've got on the front. And so a couple things about these racks. So these have blanks, but they're also used for routing cables from back to front. These are primarily typically network related. However, the extra space in them makes them very easy to work in. So I really do like them. So we've also got our tie togethers here that we've got this one and we've got one down here. Now on the back, there's no tie togethers because this one is deeper than this one. However, I'm gonna work and make something happen where I can do some screws. Possibly I can reach over here. So maybe some clamps or something like that could hold those two together super tight. It's not that I think that there's a problem. It's just if there's vibration, it'll eventually turn into noise and be kind of annoying. Everything ended up lined up just right above the 22. So that worked out pretty good. And it takes time, but basically what you saw slowed down on the back is essentially what happened on the front also. Taking your time, going really slow, leveling up one side, then checking the other, then leveling up the next side, then leveling up the next side. So it really does take quite a bit of time to do it. But yeah, we got all of them up to 22, and as long as they're all at the same height, you're gonna have a really good square rack. And I can tell just by looking at this that it is very nicely squared up. Foam that we're gonna put in the sides of this and at the bottom, and that should help control some of the airflow. Now this is of course an unintended gap. When I originally designed this, it was for 3 racks, of course. So on the side over there, I'm gonna have to build something that looks halfway decent. Probably paint a piece of wood black or something like that. Maybe sandwich a big thing of foam on one side of it. But yeah, it's coming together. We do have doors for one of them back in front. I'm not really huge on the doors, so I might leave those off. We'll probably have to see. Still to do, I've got to attach the network rack up here and probably make a few adjustments. It looks like it's pulled down kind of a little heavy, and this one over here is a little high. So I'm gonna adjust some things up here with the network. This is really nice because it's got these places where you can just poke cables in and out. On the sides, in the front, I mean, I think there's 6 total on the sides, and then 1 in the front. So that makes it really easy to get in and out of these racks. But yeah, it's coming together, looking pretty good. Now I need to adjust the depth of this rack back just a little bit here, and I can fit 2 of the hangers. So here's the hangers. Ooh, don't knock over the camera or break a light bulb. Okay, nothing's broken. So this is a 0U PDU hanger, and I'm gonna show you here real quick how you put this in. So down at the bottom here and at the top, there's little groove, and this groove fits into here, and it looks like it attached there. We got it in there and in there. So the next thing you do is you slide this up, and then you lock it in place with the star lock, and you can put 2 side by side here. You can put 2 side by side here. That's probably what I'll end up doing. Even if I'm not using 4 PDUs, I'm not going to be using 4 PDUs here. It'll probably look and just function really well. Definitely going to put an extra one over here on this side, however. And since I've got networking and power, I'll probably use this side for networking cables and this side for the power. Of course, we've got our UPS that's going in here and our additional UPS. Let's take a look at the plan for this. And yeah, give me your feedback down below. It's got the sides on it also. That's nice. Okay, so let's take a look at the plan that we've got here. So I'm going to start at the top of the storage rack, which is the 3350, again, slightly deeper APC. So at the top, we've got a NetApp DS2246 with IOM6s. However, I'm probably going to replace those with IOM12s and also get SSDs for up here. I think that could be a pretty cool combo. A lot of enterprise flash. I've got a list of really, I think, must-watch kind of enterprise flash things are going on sale for pretty cheap that are SAS based, especially the 3.84 terabyte ones, oftentimes being in the about $150 price range on eBay. Has me really thinking that would be awesome to fill this up with 3.84s and have SAS 12 connectivity to it. And I could use that for a separate pool, or I could use that as a potentially like augmenter for the main data stores that I've got. So you can see quite a lot of storage over on this side, some of it directly used most of the time, some of it part of backup systems, and some of it will most likely just be used for defragging data. So we've got our NetApp DS4246s here, and I've got all those caddies in, all those IOMs in. So those are IOM6 based as well, and that is a SAS 2 speed that you'll be able to maintain for the JBOD. Now, the cool thing is, with two of those connected, we will have, since I'm using 9201, which are 16-port SAS HBAs for these, we will have a full bandwidth scenario, and we are not daisy chaining them. As soon as you start daisy chaining them, you lose the bandwidth on the next set down. So by not daisy chaining them and having each one of these direct connected, we should be able to maintain a pretty great speed. We're going to be using the R730XD 1 and 2 that I've got as the head-in nodes for connecting and powering these. And you can see I've got 5 of those. So that's quite a lot. And while I have over here written R730XD1, I'm sure that there will probably be additional connections to R730XD2 as well. Next, we've got our DE6600 or Dell MD3060E, I believe is its number. And this is a 60 bay JBOD. This is what I had so many of that were in production in the past. Like I mentioned, they are a SAS 2 component. There is a SAS 3 one, and unfortunately the trays for this are limited to SAS 2 speeds. They will not negotiate the trays at full SAS 12 speed. This one is going to basically just be used as a giant defrag. I've got such a hodgepodge of rando disks that I've had forever that I'm going to throw them in here and possibly connect this up to a head end and run Unraid on it is a possibility. And then I can just dump things down to that and then copy them back. So with ZFS, that's typically how you defrag things. Now I am looking at some different file systems. I'm not 100% certain that I'm going with ZFS. So there are some more exotic file systems. So I would imagine I do a whole video probably just playing with each of these once I get them connected up to see how we can get the best aggregate bandwidth. And it will be wasteful of disk space probably, but that's all right. As long as we're able to maintain really good bandwidth, that is one of the key components that I'm looking for. I also am hesitant to go with an HCI setup for these since, you know, they're a little bit older and I'd hate to bring down an HCI cluster like Ceph with the DS4246s themselves. So I probably do a mini Ceph with NVMEs that are in servers, but I don't know if these guys are going to make it into that. I really seriously think they probably don't. Underneath here, I've got the, well, it's a knockoff. Almost all of them are some variant of this though. They're the HP MSL 8096. So that is a 96 either LTO5 or LTO6 tape library. And these things are awesome. And I need to just talk about this in a dedicated video when I get to the Proxmox backup server setup. That was actually another idea, was having this be, at least some of these, if I do SSDs in here, maybe 6 of them, be part of a Proxmox backup system. So definitely 3.86 probably for that would be good. And then having the tape library be the like kind of final second stage resting place. And I've got enough tapes that I can rotate this out 2.5 times. And it takes forever to fill this up. This is roughly 250 terabytes of storage at my LTO5, which is 1.5 terabytes of space. Now, they'll of course say things like 3 terabytes compressed, but you're going to use the compression your software uses, so it's not going to like double compress it or save space or anything like that. So just forget that. Really, the cool thing though is that these are SAS based and it can house multiple controllers. Now, how many controllers it can house is going to be limited by the control panel that you've got. Mine is programmed for 2. I got mine for like $500 with all the LTO 5 tapes. So definitely would recommend, if you're into long-term storage, this is a great way to archive, and it doesn't use electricity when it's not running. So pretty awesome. So the Eaton 9PX 11 kilowatt unit that I've got down here, I'm sorry, 11 kVA, 10 kilowatt is the essential, like kind of what you can actually operate inside it. And we're nowhere near there with this, by the way. This is not even close to touching that. But I did add on an extra EBM. I did used to have 2 of these. One of them took a lightning strike, and there was actually a video I put together. I got to find that and put it back up. But there was so one of these got taken out during a lightning strike, and I tried to power it back on. I was like, just maybe, and it like blew up. It was great. But the EBM's still good. I checked out the batteries and everything. So I'm going to daisy chain these 2 together, and that'll give me double the runtime. Above this is a 3U PDU. It also is an Eaton product, and it is built to communicate and basically work with this. So this has the breakouts for your 30 amp dedicateds on it. So I'll be putting several of those PDUs on the sides. I've got the Sentry rack CDUs, which are really nice because they're metered and switched. And so I can actually individually switch a port on and off, and that's very programmable also. Next, we've got the 2 R930s, which each one of these can absolutely turn into a RAM monster. I've got currently a terabyte of RAM in one of them, and I think I've got 128 in another. But these have quad 8890 V4 CPUs. There are still certain workloads, but there are fewer and fewer workloads that benefit from having CPU processing. Ray tracing's come so far that most things look really good still with ray tracing now. The Dell R730 XDs, I absolutely love these things. I just wish I would have gotten them sooner, and they really are cool because you can actually get a tray and have 4 additional drives inside of this. So you've got 12 on the front. You could have 4 more in this in the middle, and you can also have 2 in the back. So I probably am going to get one of those 4 packs, and I ordered a pair of E5 V4, but they're the 2618Ls for running with one of them. So the other one has E5 2696 V4s. So the top of the line and the bottom of the line. So we'll see what the difference looks like between those two. I've got my trip light here. So above this is a Garland tap, and that can be actually a pretty cool way. It is a wire speed tap, so you can actually mirror all of your traffic that comes off of this. I've got a 10 gigabit version and a 1 gigabit version. The 10 gigabit's cool because you can use it as a load balancer and stuff also, but I don't think I need that inside the house. And actually, we're going to be going way faster than 10 gigabits in this rack. So I probably am going to actually pull one of these out and just keep one of them. And I probably replace the other one with a really cool IavoSynth, I believe they're called Merge Point Unities, and it has 32 ports. I got this thing on eBay. These are awesome also. I've had one in the past, but I only had I think it was 16, and so I got a bigger one, and it was cheap. That's kind of the other nice thing. They're very cheap. They still release updates for it, and the updates are freely available. That can plug into this, and it's also an IKVM, and it runs over Ethernet. So literally run an Ethernet cable anywhere, and it's connected up to your thing. It's really, really cool. So we've got next our 2 Unify switches that are just gigabit switches. They're not the newest, latest, greatest or anything like that, but this is just basically for management network and for PoE stuff. So not much of the actual, like this is not communicating really on this except for the management network. And I don't even think I've got gigabit networking cards in here. So these are probably not, other than that, going to connect to this switch. So the iDRAC will connect up here to the management one. and that's pretty cool. And then we've got a bunch of cameras and stuff, so tons of PoE stuff on the larger switch up there. And then above that, we've got our SN2700 Mellanox switch. Now, the R730XDs have CX4 cards in them, 100 gigabit single port, the PCIe 3 version. So they really, you know, are only going to maximize out at one port, but I'd be very happy if each one of these can tank out at that. I mean, I'm hoping to hit somewhere, if I can consistently hit at like 6 to 7 gigabytes per second, like I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be happy. If I can actually hit 9 theoretical, I would be ecstatic, but I'm not counting on that happening. So we'll see what I'm able to eke out of this as far as the performance and also the storage efficiency. I think the storage efficiency is going to be pretty bad, but I'm not super worried about that actually. And looking up here above this, we've got another switch, which is a high performance network switch. All of these high performance network switches, by the way, you can find like dedicated videos I've done in the channel history on them, the DS4246s, dedicated videos on those. And of course, I think I did one even on the Eatons and wiring them up. I think I have one on the R930s, and I have a couple on the DE6600s because they were my main JBODs for some time. The switch we've got up here is a very budget switch. If you are looking for high performance networking that is the most cost efficient, this is probably the way to go. This is an SX6036. CX3 Pro cards are very, very cheap, and you can get all of the 40 gigabit networking, which if you're using all Mellanox gear can actually become 56 gigabit networking, up and running for very cheap. I mean, cheaper than you're going to get 25 gigabit for sure, or 50 gigabit. And of course, when you get up to 100 gigabit, well, everything's substantially more expensive. But right now, if you want high performance networking, this is about the same price as you're going to pay for like 10 gigabit networking. So I think these things are usually about $100 to $150 or something like that. The cards are like $15. The cables are like $5 to $10. And of course, make an offer on eBay is a great thing. So yeah, that's pretty much the plan that I've got so far. And we're going to be putting this all together in the next video and racking it all up and putting the power delivery system and cabling in another video after that. So I hope you're excited. Of course, make sure you hit like and subscribe. Also, be sure to check out the other videos that are related to this. And, you know, this is part 2. We got part 3 coming up where we're going to put all these puppies in there. And I think it'll really start looking very nice then. And I really think it is going to be high performance also. So getting as much performance out of this as I can is the goal, which I think we're going to have a better design than we had before, for sure. Big shout out to our Patreon members, big shout out to our Buy Me a Coffee, and to, of course, all of the people that have become members on YouTube. Thank you guys very much for this. And yeah, I'll tell you what, this is really coming together and it's going to be awesome. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. Another video out probably in a day or two. Check you guys out next time.